Is Erica Kirk and TPUSA 2.0 a front for Israel? I'm going to do a deep dive into that today. I am the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. My legal name is Carrie Buzaglo. I never changed it after I got divorced. Buzaglo is an Israeli last name. And so I have quite a bit of insider info about how Israel operates and what are the real problems going on in Israel right now. You know, it's fascinating to be the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene with the last name Buzaglo, and I only figured that out last year in 2025. I got married in 1995, so I had no idea. And at that point, I had an undergraduate degree in Chinese and religious studies and was about to start my graduate degree in Chinese religious studies. I went east. I didn't go west. So I didn't understand Mary Magdalene. I didn't understand a lot of other things. But I have lived in Israel, and I was married to an Israeli man for 10 years, and we got divorced 20 years ago. So I have quite a bit of insight into the goings on and everything that's happening. And I have a particular connection to Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk. And let me go into that before we dive into this video, this great video that Zach Costello did, showing evidence about what Israel is doing to combat the negative perceptions by a lot of people. So after Charlie was assassinated, I looked into him further. And I found out that his hometown was where I was born, in Scottsdale, Arizona. And the same day that I sent my first email to people outside of my family that I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene was July 16th, 2025. That's the same day Charlie said that Mary is a solution to toxic feminism. Now, he was talking about Mary, Jesus' mother, but Mary Magdalene and Mary, Jesus' mother, were very close. My middle name is May. In the Catholic Church, Erica's Catholic, the month of May honors Mary, the mother of Jesus. And middle names are often honorific of a family member. Now, my mom named me, my first name, Carrie, is Irish. The Mary Magdalene line goes from Israel to France, where I lived as a child, so I had no control over that, to Ireland and Scotland. JC, who I know from my childhood, his last name is Scottish. So you can check out on my website all the signs and synchronicities. I don't even have them all listed there, just a plethora. But anyway, that's me. So I have this wisdom, I have this insight. And so let's start looking at, one more thing about Erica Kirk, right? So after I started doing a deep dive, and their souls showed up immediately. And I can tell you that I was intuitively guided to literally kick the shit out of Erica Kirk's soul. I have never kicked a soul like that ever before. And I knew she was complicit. Because the way he died was a couple of weeks before a ton of prophecies for the return of the Messiah in the week of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, in 2025. And that's the week the second coming happened through an enlightenment experience that I had. You can check that out on my website as well. Because enlightenment, there's a ton of prophecies that it'll be a covenant written on our hearts, bypassing scripture. Soul-to-soul communication, that's an enlightenment experience. So anyway, I always was sus about her. And then we do more research, right? And her dad works for Raytheon in Israel, and Charlie and her met in Israel, and she was associated with a children's care facility in Romania that got shut down for child trafficking because all the military would come visit there. Did you know that 37% of military globally, because I've done a ton of global studies, have PTSD, unhealed childhood trauma? Well, what drives pedophilia? childhood trauma? What drives anything like the abuse, the typical abuse? It all comes from lack of self-love, lack of understanding of self. And Erica's getting a PhD in Bible studies right now, so of course she knows about Mary Magdalene. She was at the crucifixion. She was at the after the crucifixion, like 3 days after. I'm not Christian. I don't know all that whole history. But anyway, it sure seems like someone wants her to take over, but a lot of people don't like her, or she'd be really popular right now. If you've looked at the numbers on Charlie Kirk's YouTube channel, they used to get over 100,000 views on almost all videos. They're all down to like 1,000 because no one wants to hear her talk. She's a woman. Why aren't you taking care of the kids? Why is she taking over TPUSA when she has 2 children that just lost their father? How is that a healthy woman? I mean, that all happened before. Yeah, that was the week. Like it was like 2 weeks after. It was right before Shabbat Shuvah 2025, which is the Sabbath of return between the Jewish New Year and the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. All of that is self-reflection time. All of that is feminine time. And when did my enlightenment happen? On Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of return. The Sabbath is when you honor the feminine. Why was Jesus killed in front of Mary Magdalene, his wife? Why was a rabbi crucified in front of his pregnant wife? To see and understand himself. So now I'm going to use this piece of wisdom throughout my analysis. We'll get in the video in a second. Sorry, a few more things to say. The universe is a mirror. How do I know? Well, we live in a holographic universe. The field is the sole governing agency of the particle. The energy field controls the particle. Our souls control the body. Our soul comes out our hearts. Our heart is a vortex. So, the Jews, Einstein was Jewish. Why aren't they learning from Einstein? The field is the sole governing agency of the particle. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to do an external, shove in information as if we don't live in a holographic universe, as if the universe isn't a mirror, as if the heart's not a vortex. I mean, they're Jews, right? I mean, they have their own MIT, Technion, and Haifa. Why aren't they smarter than this? Why can't they see this? They're so busy being right. So we're the chosen ones. We're going to save the world. We're going to do it all. The Jews got a savior complex. So they can't save themselves and understand that the universe is a mirror, holographic universe. What you see outside of yourself, what you perceive, what draws your attention, and I'll get into that in the end, how all that works. But based on the laws of physics, I'm a scientist too. They're so busy being right, they don't take time to self-reflect. They have so many problems inside of Israel, so much internal fighting. They don't have population decline because they're what they call them, the Schwarzim, the blacks, the dressed in all black. They call them the blacks in Israel. That's what they say in Hebrew because I've lived in Israel. I know this stuff. I know how it works. Their sons don't serve in the military. So they have 10, 20 kids, but then they don't serve in the military. What are they going to do then in Israel when they don't have enough military? Oh, America is very convenient for them. Let's keep pushing the Christians in America to support the government because they're breeding themselves out of their own soldiers. So I guess both don't go. No, none of the kids go because the women go too. So my ex-husband, his great-grandfather, I believe, he was a top Sephardic rabbi in Haifa. I believe his name was Shlomo Buzaglo. And he was what we call a Kabbalistic Jew, not a rabbinic Jew. And Buzaglo is more aligned with Kabbalistic Jews than rabbinic Jews. Rabbinic Jews are top down, the man's in charge, it's going to be a male messiah, they have it all figured out. The Kabbalistic Jews, no, a balance between masculine and feminine. They came into contact with Mary Magdalene's teaching in Eastern Spain before they were exiled. I got around. I was a hoe, right? So I got around. Okay, let's start. I got a joke about it. I got one of the signs was that I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene before I knew. After I hadn't talked to JC in 40 years since high school, and I forgotten about him because it's too painful to remember. And right after I reached out to him, I heard intuitively, I'm downloading Ho to housewife trauma healing. And I thought, oh yeah, there's a lot of hoes out there. I can help them. Didn't realize Mary Magdalene. Okay, so let's share Zach's video. And I'm just gonna go off because I fucking had enough. I didn't plan this video. Zach did this. I'm like, I gotta talk because I love Zach. Zach's great.
Here we go. We have some important things, alarming things to get through today. I was actually worried, to be honest with you guys, that I wasn't going to be able to have a show for you. I was knee deep in FARA registrations. That is Foreign Agent Registration Act registrations.
And that's really important. He did a deep dive to show how much money Israel pours into advertising themselves positively to Christians, to churches. So, here's the thing. If they understood that the universe, that we live in a holographic universe, they would understand that change is an inside job. And they're acting like an external control mechanism, forcing change onto people. But that's not how reality operates. They're Jewish, they're smart. What the fuck?
There are Christian front organizations and evangelical Christian churches working directly for the state government of Israel in America to influence and educate Christian Americans. Well, I say educate Christian Americans. And I think Turning Point USA Faith might very well be one of those organizations, as you're about to see.
It feels a little kind of, how do I say it? Like they're just drawing our blood. They're just hanging on, like they can't let go because they can't let go and see themselves. They're so busy being like, we're the saviors, we're the chosen ones. They got the calendar right. They got some stuff right, but they also got a lot wrong. The divine masculine in front of the divine feminine, along with other people. They got a lot wrong, okay? They were so busy making money in that temple that they participated in killing Jesus. But of course, Jesus and Mary, they weren't there yet. Why was Jesus so emotionally dysregulated that he was turning over tables in the temple? That's not a grown-ass adult. That's a temper tantrum. He got himself killed because I wasn't there yet. I couldn't come out and share that I'm the wisdom and he's the knowledge. I'm Sophia, he's Christ. I'm the source of wisdom. But I couldn't speak then. Even Peter got upset that Jesus was showing me, his wife, so much attention. We were that immature. Sure, we had a lot of wisdom. We knew a lot of stuff, but we weren't there yet. It was 2,000 years ago. We weren't there yet. We needed the patriarchy to come out to bring out all this technology. So here I am at home on YouTube, safe as can be. JC is the head of global security at GoDaddy, former FBI. He's got global security in his back pocket. I'm safe. Now I can talk. Couldn't talk 2,000 years ago. Could not talk.
Also, the largest U.S. military buildup since the 2003 Iraq War is taking place right now. We're on the verge of World War III for the good of, well, the American people, of course.
But I'm just going to keep going back to this point that in Israel, the Schwarzim, the blacks, the Orthodox Jews, all their kids do not participate in the military, and I think they're about half the population. So people like my ex-husband are the ones in their family who are secular, or Buzagla, not rabbinic, which is more Ashkenazi Jew than Sephardic Jew. Sephardic Jews are generally Kabbalistic. And Buzaglas are highly discriminated against. It's better now, but they even did a test on Scantrons. Same answers, the Buzaglo and the Ashkenazi kids. Buzaglos got 80, Ashkenazi kids got 100. And I thought they were, did well at math, Jews did. What the fuck? So I understand Israel from like a lot of internal infighting. And 2 months after I got married, Itzhak Rabin was assassinated. I met my ex-husband in Tibet 2 weeks after he was, part of the escort for Rabin in Beijing. He even has personal pictures of the Israeli flag and the Jewish flag next to each other around Tiananmen. 2 weeks later, I meet him in Tibet. People say Jesus was in Tibet.
And finally, Tucker Carlson flew to Israel at the invitation of Mike Huckabee. If you remember, Tucker called out Mike Huckabee, and Huckabee asked to speak with Tucker face to face, and Tucker agreed. After the interview, Tucker Carlson and his team told the Daily Mail, look at this. Shortly after the interview, Israeli officials confiscated his passport and hauled his executive producer to an interrogation room. Men who identified themselves as airport security took our passports, hauled our executive producer to a side room, and then demanded to know what we spoke to Ambassador Huckabee about. Carlson told the Daily Mail it was bizarre. We're now out of the country. The former prime minister of Israel responded, calling Tucker, and excuse my language, this is a direct quote, chicken shit.
Oh, the universe is a mirror showing us ourselves in every moment as a constant feedback loop for self-improvement. When someone calls someone else a name, they're talking about themselves. When my soul resonates with like chicken shit, when that part comes out of me, then I see it outside of myself, but it's a projection. I see it. Okay. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. And you're hiding your own chicken shit. He's hiding his own chicken shit. Like I'm sure somewhere in Tucker Carlson, there's chicken shit. We all got chicken shit in us. But when you call it out to someone else, that is your soul actually calling it out to yourself. Lack of self-awareness. I thought they're, spiritually aware. They got a lot of really spiritually aware rabbis, but they got a lot of rabbis who talk a lot of shit, who are super in their feminine, super out of shape. They're like a rabbi hive. Like, the beehive and women. I call it the rabbi hive. That's the back door, trying to get things done, pushing people into corners, controlling everything, super emotionally manipulative. Super emotionally manipulative. I see these rabbis like, there's one I'm thinking of right now, and oh man, the emotional manipulation is just thick. Because they can't admit that they're wrong. They can't admit that they hate themselves for killing the divine masculine in front of the divine feminine. They can't admit that, and they have that huge gaping wound.
The former Israel ambassador to the UN also issued a statement calling Tucker a coward and a liar. And Tucker has
you're a coward and a liar. How is that an argument by a grown-ass man? You're chicken shit? Are we 5 on the playground throwing sand at each other? Where's your real fucking argument? Because I'd like to see that intelligent Jewish argument out of the Technion. Let's go. Let's hear something smart. You got Einstein, Oppenheimer, a slew of scientists after them that are all Jewish. Bring it. Bring some intelligence, people.
Received the award for the most dangerous anti-Semite in America from Stop Anti-Semitism and backed up by, I believe, Josh Hammer. However, the Israeli Foreign Ministry responded saying, contrary to the reports, Tucker Carlson and his entourage were not detained, delayed, or interrogated. Mr. Carlson and his party were politely asked a few routine questions in accordance with standard procedures applied.
These people gaslight constantly. They show so many signs of mental illness, and yet they want to be the authority. They need our military because based on their own policies, they're losing their own.
To many travelers. That makes me laugh because what I'm about to tell you guys here in a second. The conversation took place in a separate room with the VIP lounge solely to protect their privacy and to avoid conducting a discussion in public. No unusual incident occurred, and the Israeli Airports Authority firmly rejects any other claims.
So I've been through airport security. I've been through airport security in Australia with Israelis when we all got questioned and they tested my shampoo. It was fine. And then we flew to Israel and I got questioned in Greece because I was traveling with two Israelis and I'm not Jewish. But we stood there around everybody and they questioned us. I mean, Tucker Carlson was invited by the US ambassador to Israel. I'm sorry, but the US ambassador to Israel super supports Israel. So was it all pre-planned? Was Mike Huckabee involved in this bullshit? Yeah, I know it wasn't a good argument. You can argue that. I'm having a
Oh, well, okay. We believe you. I'm sure that you all were super nice and loving and gentle to Tucker. I'm sure you all didn't go out of your way to bring him in for that polite questioning that you always do. Sorry, silly us. Us Goyim, we can be pretty dumb sometimes. This is just standard Goyim operating procedure, you guys. Tucker just got the standard treatment. Relax, relax. We all know what it was. It was a flex on Tucker. That's an intimidation tactic. They're saying, we're watching you. That's what it means, and there's no other way to spin it. It's not a coincidence that Tucker Carlson simultaneously published a conversation with a Palestinian Christian from the West Bank, a message we almost never hear, but one that Israel for certain and Zionists at that do not want getting out. We're going to start there today. I'm Zach Costello.
We're not newcomers. We're not immigrants. We're an indigenous people of the land.
So now he's talking, Tucker Carlson is interviewing with what they call a Palestinian Christian. So I've been to Nazareth and, the Christian cities aren't as nice. And Amit, he would admit it. And the Arab towns were not as nice. He was more left leaning, more let's solve this problem. How do we resolve this? So, this is fascinating that, I know that Palestinian Christians, whatever, I'm not sure the appropriate name that he's using, Palestinian Christian. But I know Palestine was never a nation state. And the Palestinians do not have a unique DNA. So, but we'll call them Palestinian Christians. They're Christians, right? Who are being treated poorly. While Israel at the same time is throwing, as you will see, $4 million, and there's just one platform to educate Christians about how great Jews are. So if they were so worried about all Christians, helping them or being on the same team as them, why are they focused on America? And I just keep going back to it's got to be related to that when Israel was formed, the Orthodox Jews negotiated that their children will be praying and will not fight in any wars. So based on that policy and based on how many kids they have and how many secular Jews leave Israel, they're in trouble in terms of having enough military personnel to fight their wars. So Israel doesn't have a population problem because they have so many Orthodox Jews having 10, 20 kids.
People. Christian Palestinians have a unique story to tell.
What's interesting is that over that 2,000-year period, a lot has happened. A lot of different people have ruled that area. Of course, originally the Romans.
Yes.
2,000 years ago was the Romans. And then of course, the move up from Arabia, Islam starts. And then you have the Crusades kind of flip it over. And then you have it flip back and it becomes the Ottomans. And then Muslims run out of Istanbul, Constantinople, Turks. And then you have the Brits. And now you have the Israelis. So during all that time, that village remained Christian, but you're saying now, under Israeli rule, because it is ruled by the Israelis, correct?
Yes.
It's in danger of becoming extinct.
I call Palestinian Christians empire survivors.
Yeah.
We have survived empires, armies came and left, rulers came and left.
A lot of them.
identity changed, language changed, culture has been shaped by those empires, but the people have always remained there. The church has always been open to worship, has always maintained a gospel witness. And this is my deepest concern, that if nothing has happened, if we don't do anything about it, there will be no more Christians in the Holy Land.
So they remain there from 33 AD until 1967, and then in 1967, when this area is annexed by the government,
Yes.
the real threat begins. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a huge war in 67, and at the end of the war, Israel occupied more land. I don't believe they started that war. I don't know Israeli history very well.
Israel has pursued one strategy, Tucker, over decades, which is take as much Palestinian land as possible and keep as few Palestinians on the land as possible. This has been their strategy. It has worked for them because they're constantly taking Palestinian land within, we're talking about not proper Israel, but we're talking about 1967 when they captured West Bank, East Jerusalem, and in Gaza. They have been taking land. They have been building settlements there. And this is threatening the local population, especially it comes at a heavy price. So that has been the policy for decades, and it has worked for them because it's almost near completion now. They're taking, if you look at Bethlehem, the governorate of Bethlehem, the district of Bethlehem, it is surrounded by Israeli settlements. And it's actually, if you look it up, the Bethlehem Ring.
When he said that, I really understood part of my ex-husband better, because I remember he would just like sit in energy and he wouldn't move. And it was like if he just sat there long enough, things would change. Is that an Israeli tactic? I'm not sure.
It's actually a thing. It's a ring of settlements all encircling every town, every Palestinian village, and they choose these specific lands strategically on hilltops, taking water resources, building walls around these settlements, building new roadblocks, building new checkpoints, building new security measures, they call it, motion sensors, electric wires. And it comes at a really deep expense, at the expense of the local population.
Okay. So what's important for you guys to understand about this is that Israel justifies doing these things because they believe that they are a God-ordained country, nation.
They have a savior complex. They've decided in their brains that they have a certain role. It hasn't come out of their hearts, because if it came out of their hearts, it would be different. They've decided. Just like it seems like, the whole Charlie Kirk assassination was very much Jesus died for our sins. And they met in Israel. And she's studying the Bible, and it's just, it's curious. It's interesting. And they're Erica and her dad's deep connections to Israel and the military and all the mental illness that we're seeing in all these conversations.
That's how they justify this. The Christian population in Bethlehem has gone from 86% in 1950 to less than 2% today. And the reasons being economic hardship, Israeli occupation, and the pressure from rising extremist groups. And that's according to Google AI. The impact of the occupation, Israeli military occupation, including the construction of the separation wall, settlement expansion, land confiscation, has severely constrained the movement and growth of Christian communities. Security and societal pressure. Reports indicate that Christians sometimes face harassment, violence, and discrimination from both Israeli settlers and, in some cases, Islamist extremist groups, within Palestinian territories.
And I think one thing that just came to mind is the Israeli Independence War. How much personal Americans went and fought and paid for and were involved in it. I mean, Neil Diamond even made the song America. The lengths people will go to when they don't want to accept how much they hate themselves. They don't want to accept that they're wrong. They have problems. And then here I come along, who's Anglo, American, not Jewish, direct, perceptive, intuitive, tell it like it is. I'm not comfortable for them, but I know I'm safe.
I know this also to be true because every year, Palestinian Christians come to Catholic churches in our diocese twice a year. They sell wooden carvings to support themselves at home. I buy them. Like I have a crucifix that I bought from them. The wood carvings are beautiful. But I also talk to them and I've asked them why. What is the problem? Why are you guys leaving? And they attest to the very same as that man that you just heard there with Tucker. The situation is dire over there. And we, as American taxpayers, we support it. Think about that. As a Christian, your tax dollars are going toward the displacement of Christians in favor of Jewish settlers. But we never hear about it. What we hear is that the violent Muslim extremists are the ones doing it. They are the biggest threat. And why is that? You have no idea the amount of Zionist influence and propaganda control we are under. It's about to start World War III. And we'll get to that in a second. But first, we have to take a quick break for today's sponsor. Workout injury or happening right this second. The U.S. military buildup in Iran is currently the largest since the lead up to the Iraq War in 2003. You might remember back in June of 2025, the most impressive military operation of all time, Midnight Hammer, took place, a strategic bombing attack that Trump said, quote, was a spectacular military success, and that it put a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. So I thought it was taken care of. Well, now, here we are about to launch World War III for the good of, well, the American people, of course. Not really. We know who it's for the good of. Also, is this an admission that Operation Hammer didn't work? Now Bibi gets his way and we go to war with Iran despite the overwhelming majority of the American people not wanting to do this. I want to show you this. This came up.
He shows this, and I'm going to forward it in a second. I mean, that's a question, but it's a very complex topic because we have a lot of, Iran funds Islamic terrorism. And people who are, when something's falling apart, they're super dangerous. So I understand why we might just have presence over there, but a war might not be impending. Also, does Israel, lack capacity because of their internal, laws and decisions? So let me, I'm going to go forward a little bit over this. And then we're going to get to Charlie Kirk here.
Our trust in this one. This is more Israel pushing for Iran, but is that America's problem? That's maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is, you know what? They were wrong about Iraq. They were wrong about Syria. They were wrong about Afghanistan. They were wrong about the Taliban. They were wrong about Libya. They were wrong about the Arab Spring. They were wrong about Yemen. They were wrong about the Arabian Peninsula. They were wrong about the 9/11 hijackers being Saudi Arabian. But hey, 10th time's a charm. This time we're actually right. Yeah, you're going to have to earn our trust on this one.
You guys all starting to see the problem that Bibi Netanyahu had with Charlie Kirk yet? And this gets us to Turning Point USA 2.0, specifically the operations of Turning Point USA Faith. I want to show you something here, and this has me majorly concerned, and I am currently in conversation with a number of people trying to do more digging on this. I really believe that there is something here. In fact, I think this might be it. I'm going to screen share this with you, and I've never done this before, so bear with me. I got to remove this, and then I got to bring this back up to you. Okay. This is the DOJ website, FARA registrations, Foreign Agent Registration Act registrations. This specific one is number 7653. On September 27th, 2025, 2 weeks after Charlie was killed, just want to put that note in there, a FARA registration was filed by Show Faith by Works LLC. All right, let's bring that up right here.
And he's getting into details, but it's important to go through all these details so you see all the connections, okay? Very important.
This is the registration that was filed. Show Faith by Works LLC. The individual that filed it was Chad Schneitger. Okay. The foreign agent that is registered as the principal on this is Israel, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Services for Project Management. Describe the nature of the registrant's regular business or activity.
Okay, let me go forward a
Pro-Israel
little bit more. We can
outreach,
get to that
marketing to
summarize.
Christians. It then goes on, faith, strategy,
So he gets into that. They've already spent $325,000, but there's $4 million planned, and it's for churches all across the West. And here is the website.
impact. Show Faith by Works is a Christian-based marketing and communications firm.
A Christian-based, but who's starting it? The Foreign Affairs Ministry in Israel. How is that Christian-based? Christian-based marketing.
Helping ministries, small businesses, and public servants share their message with purpose and power. Okay, go down here to our mission. I'll skip ahead and say our mission is simple: to empower Christian leaders, faith-based organizations, and values-driven businesses to share their stories with excellence and authenticity. So, as you can see, this is a Christian front organization that is registered with FARA in order to promote the interests of Israel. And I will show you exactly what this organization is doing. This right here is Exhibit AB. So you can go in here. This is the FARA results. You can go to the DOJ website and find all of this stuff here. All right, I'm gonna, can I make myself smaller here? I don't know how to do it, whatever. So you guys can see this maybe even more clearly. I don't know how clearly you can see it, but this is the FARA registration. It's number 7653, and you can see all of these different documents in here. There's the registration statement, and then there's all these short form documents, which basically add individuals that are going to be participating in this operation along with, or I guess underneath, this Show Faith by Works LLC. But this is the important document here. This Exhibit AB outlines exactly what their operations are going to be. And that's what I'm going to read to you here. So again, name of registrant, Show Faith by Works LLC. Name of the foreign principal, Israel. Country, Israel. Indicate whether the foreign principal is one of the following.
But, it's a Christian-based marketing.
A government of a foreign country. Check. That's what that's for. All right. And then the name and title of the official with whom the registrant engages. So who is Show Faith by Works LLC actually talking to? That is Eran Sheyovich. And let me bring him up here. Who is Eran Sheyovich? He's leading Project 545, which aims to amplify Israel's strategic communication and public diplomacy efforts. He's the chief of staff of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as you can see right there, for Israel. Okay, let's bring this back up now. What is the purpose of what they are doing? This is where they have to disclose exactly what their plan is. And that is here in number 8. Describe fully the nature and method of performance of the above indicated agreement or understanding. Christian outreach through various grassroots and digital targeting of Christians.
Here's the list.
All of the churches here that they are targeting across the western part of the United States. They list every single one of these evangelical Christian churches that they are targeting to get these pastors in these churches. The activity: combat low American evangelical Christian approval of the nation of Israel. Use biblical arguments to highlight the importance.
Why do they need so much approval of the nation of Israel? Why? Why do they need so much approval from Americans? Are they doing this elsewhere? Why are America and Israel so close together? Why so many Jews moved to America? when they deem themselves the chosen ones and they have a savior complex. This is the challenges that we run into. They're constantly trying to force themselves onto everybody because they don't know how to open their own hearts to themselves, which would naturally open other people's hearts to them as well, because the universe is a mirror showing us ourselves in every moment as a constant feedback loop for self-improvement. So when my heart is open, I attract other people with an open heart. Oh, my heart's open, their heart's open. Okay, great. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, someone's calling. And when my heart's closed, I attract people whose hearts are closed. Like, I married an Israeli man and I'm not Jewish, and we got divorced. We were both messed up. Okay? We both had our problems, and so we attract what we are. I attracted problems.
Of Israel and the Jewish people to Christians, educate Christians on the historical importance of Israel and its significance in the region, increase awareness of Palestinian ties to Hamas and support for terrorism within evangelical populations, and then counter new and evolving pro-Palestinian messaging as the global narratives shift. Isn't that interesting? Because aren't we hearing a lot about that? Aren't they trying to shut down people like Tucker Carlson for interviewing, I don't know, the Palestinian Christian that he just had on? Here we go. Messaging. Okay. The messaging here, pro-Israel messaging, messages to pastors and Christians about Israel, its history, its people, biblical significance, its place in the Christian New Testament, and more. So basically, the advocacy for Christian Zionism is what their purpose is. Just education, 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 which really just means propaganda, propaganda, propaganda. Christians in Israel and the birthplace of Jesus with Christmas messaging, okay? So you can see. Hold on, what happened to my camera here? Hold on, let me see if I can pull that back up.
Christians in Israel. Well, we heard from Christians in Israel, they're leaving and they're not happy. If they're so concerned with, uniting with the Christians, why aren't they uniting with the Christians in Israel?
My camera went out. Uh-oh. I feel like it's overheating. That's not good. But anyway, we're going to keep going here. I think you guys can still hear me. So if I disappear again, I'll keep my eye on that. But all right, let's keep going. The messaging here. What's important is this anti-Palestinian state messaging, because this is the information, this type of stuff we are getting all of the time in our public rhetoric right now. The anti-Palestinian state messaging. Hamas is a Palestinian terrorist organization. Palestinians elected Hamas leadership. All of this is just anti-Palestinian rhetoric, okay? And then you've got the themes, you've got what they're going to do as far as where they're going to engage, what they're going to do. And then the digital support here. This is what I want to get to. Digital support. The largest geofencing and Christian targeting campaign in U.S. history. This is what they're going for.
In U.S. history. Wow. I needed a moment to go, wow.
The largest geofencing and Christian targeting campaign in U.S. history. Geofence and digitally target Christians who attend any U.S. megachurch in our target markets and beyond. Use digital tools to identify and show pro-Israel, anti-Palestinian messaging to U.S. Christians and Catholics in English and Spanish. All right. You can see here some of the messaging. That's the invoice that they were paid by the state of Israel. And then show faith by works. This is, again, just more of the proposal and the operation of what they're going to be doing, targeting all of these churches across the western part of the United States. Possible Christian celebrity spokespeople, Chris Pratt, John Voight, Tim Tebow, et cetera, et cetera. Interesting to note here, Pastor Greg Laurie. He has been heavily involved with Turning Point USA, Erica Kirk, and Turning Point USA Faith. He's an active megachurch pastor and leader of the Harvest Crusade, okay? They're trying to recruit him for these types of things, for this operation specifically. All right, college activities, all this good stuff. And I just want to get now to the geofencing. Targeted geofencing strategy. Church targeting. The largest Christian church geofencing campaign in U.S. history. It will be used to distribute our messages and encourage Christians and pastors to reach out to us and follow our channels. College campus focus, target Christian churches on Sundays and Christian colleges on weekdays with targeted ads for those who enter the regions. Ads will continue to track those who enter the target zones. This is what geofencing is. I'm going to show you more on that in just 1 second. But this precision engagement, precision location-based targeting ensures that our target market sees ads, maximizing the effectiveness of outreach. They are spreading propaganda to Christians through geofencing. That is what they're doing. They're getting these churches to sign on so that they can geofence the entire church's congregation so they can spam them with propaganda about Israel. That is what they are doing here. That's what the Israeli government is paying this company to do. Okay? This geofencing campaign would create a digital perimeter around key Christian gathering places, delivering pro-Israel content and sympathetic anti-Hamas messaging to engaged audiences. Okay, how now are they going to do this? They're going to do this through Raincross. This is the organization that was also listed in the FARA disclosure, in the FARA registration. Raincross, they do this geofencing. Okay, geofencing is a location-based technology that allows businesses to start audiences within a defined geographic area using digital ads. It enables precise marketing by delivering personalized content to users in specific locations, enhancing engagement and conversations. All right, I want to show you guys this now. Look, geofencing, you can do it in buildings, you can do it at conferences and events, households, competitors. When you geofence conferences and events, this is what I want to get to. Geofencing enables us to target convention centers, stadiums, venues in real time, delivering tailored ads to attendees. This real-time targeting maximizes engagement by reaching your audience exactly where it matters most. Okay, now I want to show you something that Andrew Colvett from Turning Point USA told Jesse Waters after the Charlie Kirk memorial. Do you guys remember this?
Break a little bit of news on your program, Jesse. Our partners that do sort of geotagging with devices, they told us that they tracked over 277,000 devices in the vicinity of State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona.
Wow.
277,000.
That's
So that just gives you an
unbelievable.
idea of the scale of humanity out there. But I just want to give a hat tip and a major kudos to our team that pulled this off. They did an event that should have taken 6 months to plan in about 6 days. And it is a absolute testament to the leadership of Charlie Kirk and the type of people he surrounded himself with and the type of people that are still in this organization. They carry a piece of him with them, and they did the impossible, and they did it for Charlie. And it was amazing. And I think it was cathartic for all of us as we're grieving. And I think now there's a moment where, yes, we're going to march forward. We're going to make sure that this mission and this vision that is Turning Point.
All right. There's no point in listening to the rest of that. You guys heard that at the very beginning. Through their partners, they were able to identify how many people were around the event. Guys, Turning Point USA is geofencing. They are geofencing. And now here is what I am concerned about. Let me get this back off the screen and let me get my screen share back up here. Turning Point USA Faith. Their mission is to educate pastors and churches across the United States. They offer materials, courses, etc. for their affiliated churches. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Actually, let me just pull this up. I'm going to put this full screen and then still talk. My camera is not working, but you guys can still hear me, and I'm going to continue to talk through this here while my camera starts back up.
Okay, I'm
and
going to
stops
stop right here.
misbehaving.
This make heaven crowded. Christianity teaches us that heaven is elsewhere, but we live in a holographic universe. So how can it be elsewhere? Everything is projected out through the vortex in our hearts so that we can see ourselves. So when we start projecting heaven out of our hearts, because we live in a holographic universe, then we'll all live in heaven. That's why self-love creates heaven on earth. It's a frequency in our hearts. That's what early Christians were teaching. They were communal, teaching inner authority. Well, it doesn't work for nation states. Nation states, oh yeah, you behave, you go to heaven, after you die. I mean, they're just helping a motherfucker out, right? Oh, we're going to tell you how to get to heaven. You just, the cross is the only ladder to heaven. And then you follow the cross, and then you're going to get there when you die with no proof. Totally goes against science. Completely against science.
I have to cut short on super chats today, though, because obviously this is not working out too well for me as far as this camera goes.
I'd love to make heaven crowded on earth. That's where I want to make heaven crowded. Let's all work together. I got my free ebook below. Teach you how to turn your wounds into wisdom, how to love yourself properly, how to operate your soul so you experience love, compassion, and enlightenment more routinely than you do fear, guilt, and shame. When that happens, for the vast majority of people, which is my mission, then we're going to jointly create heaven on earth. But, you've heard the saying, no one's coming to save you. And then when you accept that and you do the work, you figure it out, you learn a ton of stuff, and oh, wow, I could do that all by myself the whole time. I'm the only one that has sovereignty over my soul. There is no God out there that has sovereignty over my own soul. But when we're indoctrinated as such, we get things like Manifest Destiny, where we killed 60 million buffalo, a few hundred million beaver, the wolves, the millions of otters, and basically destroyed our ecology's ability to store carbon in kelp forests, in the ground, in water. We destroyed the ability of beavers to build dams, which stops flooding and wildfires and drought. Because God gave us dominion over animals and nature. Because, where I live, this ain't heaven. I'm doing my best to create heaven in my own world and then kind of circle out from there to to project heaven from my own vortex, my own heart. But, let's make heaven crowded on earth.
Because it says the internal temp is too high. Maybe I have some stupid setting wrong, but in any case, here we go. This is what TPUSA Faith is doing, okay? We know that Turning Point USA is geofencing. And look at what Turning Point USA Faith is doing. They're doing the same thing that organization, Show Faith by Works, does. They're just not registered with FARA. I am very concerned because of this. Look at all of this. So you can see, Turning Point USA Faith, the mission is dedicated to empowering Christians to put their faith into action. We equip, empower millions of grateful Americans who are prepared to defend God-given rights, blah, blah, blah. We know that Turning Point USA Faith is a Christian Zionist organization. And now look at this. Find a church. Find a church. I am very concerned that Turning Point USA is geofencing and harvesting data of individual Christians throughout America through their pastors and churches. Look at how many they have. We know the Zionist connections to Turning Point USA and the power that their donors have. Okay? This is extremely alarming to me. We know that all of these Zionist donors made Charlie's life a living hell in the last months of his life. I think that this is the operation that Israel wants. Bibi Netanyahu,
because it's like Israel's bypassing the American government to go directly to the people. Instead of solving their own damn problems, they got to project all their crap onto us and get us to try to solve what they perceive to be their problems. It's mental illness.
Mix of it. Bibi Netanyahu offered Charlie a whole bunch of money that he turned down. Was it for this? Is the deal that Charlie refused, that Erica and Justin Strife put through, having to do with this? This very might well be Operation Mocking Pastor, as Candace has been talking about. What I need is anyone who is affiliated with the Turning Point USA Faith Church, send me an email some of you already have, to zach@zachcostello.com and let me know what type of messaging you are receiving on your phone or through your email from your pastor or from your church. Does your church give your personal information away to some marketing firm? Is it collected automatically? Any strange or weird messaging you're getting from your pastor or church about Israel, Zionism, or Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson? I've already had a number of people reach out to me to tell me that their pastor is spreading things about Candace Owens during their church service. Let me know. Israel has been trying to find ways to avoid FARA so they can operate under the radar. TPUSA Faith would be a way to do that. And that aligns with that Pierre donor who would have funneled the money to Turning Point USA. If the government of Israel does it, as you can see, as I just took you through, it has to register with FARA. This was a way to avoid doing that, to do it more covertly. I'm putting this out there, but it seems like it makes sense, and the dots seem to connect. Let me know what you guys think.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Oh. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Thank you, Zach, for that very informative deep dive. And the only question I don't see him asking is, the internal struggle inside of Israel, which, might not be his forte because, that's my forte because I live there. But I definitely see the connection that Israel over time, due to that policy with the Orthodox Jews not participating in the military, they are shooting themselves in the foot in terms of being prepared militarily for any kind of ground battle where they need a lot of military personnel. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Well, I hope this was informative for you. This was interesting for me, and the video is already about an hour long, but there's other videos that I have that show you how the universe is a mirror. We attract what we are through energetic resonance. And I have other videos on my YouTube channel you can check out. Okay, you take care. Thanks for listening. Bye.